Do you hear that? That sound in the spirit, that shift, that click, that movement of something that has been locked for a very long time beginning to open. You may not have heard it with your ears, but your spirit registered it the moment this began. Doors that were sealed against you are being unsealed. Opportunities that were withheld are being released. People who were positioned to help you are being redirected toward your path. The atmosphere of your life is changing, and this message is the announcement of that change. This is not a message that found you by accident. You did not stumble across words through random scrolling or idle curiosity. Something deeper than an algorithm, something more ancient than technology, something with the fingerprints of the Almighty all over it, moved you toward this moment. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, before your name was whispered into the ears of the people who would raise you, before the first breath entered your lungs and declared that you were alive, God had already written your name on something. He had already attached a promise to your bloodline. He had already reserved a blessing so specific, so personal, so carefully crafted for who you are and what you have been through, that no one else on this earth could receive it in the same way you are about to receive it. You are the chosen one. Not chosen because you are perfect. Not chosen because you have never fallen. Not chosen because your record is clean and your history is tidy. You are chosen because God looked through every soul that would ever walk this earth, and He looked at you in your brokenness, in your confusion, in your seasons of doubt and financial struggle, and He said, that one carries what I need. That one will trust me even when they cannot see me. That one will hold on even when everything around them says, let go. And so He placed a mark on your life before you could even understand what a mark meant. Beloved, the financial blessing that God has released carries your name, not someone else's name. Not the name of the person who seems to have it all figured out. Not the name of the one who appears blessed from the outside while you have been fighting your battles in silence. Your name, spelled out in the courts of heaven, signed with the seal of the Most High, declared by the mouth of the one who does not lie, who does not change, and who does not fix at a single promise He has ever made. Think about where you are right now. Think about the weight you have been carrying. Think about the nights when you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, calculating numbers that never seem to add up, wondering why the doors that seemed to open for everyone else remained firmly shut in your face. Think about the prayers you whispered in the dark, not even sure if they were reaching anywhere, not even sure if the silence meant indifference or patience. You kept going anyway. You kept believing anyway. You kept showing up anyway, even when showing up felt like the hardest thing you had ever done. That perseverance was not wasted. Every single step you took in faith, every single decision you made to trust God when your bank account told you a different story, every single moment you chose to worship instead of worry, God was watching. He was recording. He was marking it all down with a precision that surpasses any system of accounting this world has ever devised. Nothing you did in faith was invisible. Nothing you released in obedience disappeared into the void. It was all seeds and, beloved, harvest season has arrived. The sound you heard at the beginning of this message, that click, that shift, that unlocking, that was the sound of God releasing what has had your name on it since before the foundations of the world were laid. This is not a season of delay any longer. This is not a season of almost and not yet. This is the season of now. The wealth that was stored up, the resources that were held in reserve, the financial streams that were being redirected by the hand of divine providence, they are flowing in your direction right now. In this moment, as these words enter your spirit and begin to awaken something that has been sleeping under the weight of your waiting. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 22 declares that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. That is not a poetic wish. That is a divine decree. And the Lord who spoke it through Solomon is the same Lord who is speaking over your life right now. The transfer has been authorized. The movement has begun. And you, chosen one, are standing at the exact place where heaven's supply meets your earth-level need. The heavens did not open arbitrarily over your life today. There is a reason this message is the one that stopped your scroll. There is a reason something in your chest began to the moment these words began. God does not do anything without purpose, and the purpose behind this moment is to announce to your spirit, before your eyes even see the evidence, that the blessing is already moving. It left the storehouse of heaven with your address attached to it. It is in transit. It is on its way, and nothing, not the economy, not the enemy, not your past mistakes, not the opinions of those who doubted you, can stop what God has already set in motion with your name on it. Right now, as a prophetic act of agreement, type the number 777 in the comments. Let that declaration go up as a signal to heaven that you receive this word. Let it be your yes. Let it be your open hand. Type 777 and declare with us, I am the chosen one and my financial blessing has already been released. There are nights that do not announce themselves as significant. They arrive quietly, dressed in the ordinary clothes of exhaustion and worry, and they sit down beside you without asking permission. You know the kind of nights being described right now. The kind where the silence in the room is louder than anything playing on the television. The kind where you find yourself doing the math again, even though you already know what the numbers say. The kind where hope feels less like a flame and more like the memory of a flame. Something you once held but cannot quite feel the warmth of anymore. Those nights visited you. Some of them stayed longer than they should have. Some of them brought friends, and for a season, it felt like the hard seas would never end. But here is what you need to understand about every single one of those nights. They were not evidence that God had forgotten you. They were not proof that the blessing had been rerouted to someone more deserving. They were not a verdict on your worth, your faith, or your future. Every sleepless night was a furnace, and furnaces do not destroy what God has marked for glory. They refine it. They burn away everything that does not belong, everything that would have contaminated the blessing or caused you to mishandle it. And they leave behind something pure, something strong, something ready to carry the weight of what heaven is about to place in your hands. You have carried more than most people around you will ever know. You have smiled through pain that would have broken someone with a lesser spirit. You have kept your head lifted in rooms where every circumstance was pressing down on you, demanding that you bow. You have prayed prayers that felt like they were dissolving the moment they left your lips, and yet you prayed the next one anyway. You have given when you had very little, trusting that the God of multiplication would honor what you released from your scarcity. You have served in seasons when serving cost you something real, something tangible, something you genuinely needed. And through all of it, you did not walk away. You stayed. You endured. You chose God again and again. Even when choosing God felt like the harder road, that faithfulness has been seen. Every act of obedience that went unnoticed by the people around you was witnessed by the one whose witness matters most. The Bible declares in Hebrews chapter 6 verse 10 that God is not unjust, and that he will not forget your work and the love you have shown for his name. That verse is not a comfort for someone else's situation. That verse is a contractual statement from the mouth of the living God over your life specifically. He has not forgotten one tear. He has not misplaced one prayer. He has not overlooked one sacrifice. He has been cataloging everything, and the return on what you have sown in faithfulness is now being prepared at a magnitude that will make the hardship feel small in comparison to the reward. Think about the financial pressure you have faced. Think about the moments when bills arrived and the resources to meet them did not seem to be there. Think about the times you needed a breakthrough and watched other people receive one while you were still standing in the waiting room of your miracle. Think about how many times you had to fight the thought that perhaps you were the exception. Perhaps you were the one God would leave in the struggle while everyone else moved forward. That thought was a lie, and it was sent from the source of all lies, because the enemy understood something about you that you sometimes forgot about yourself. He knew that if you ever truly grasped the magnitude of what God had stored up for you, you would become completely unstoppable. So he sent the pressure, the delay, the disappointment, and the doubt, not to destroy you, but to distract you from the truth of what was already written over your life. The truth is this: your financial struggle was never your final chapter. It was never the conclusion of your story. It was a chapter, a difficult one, a painful one that required every ounce of your spiritual strength to survive. But it was a chapter, and beloved, that chapter is ending. The page is turning right now, and the chapter that is beginning carries a title that sounds like abundance, like overflow, like every need met and then exceeded, like generational wealth flowing through your bloodline and blessing your children and your children's children long after you are gone from this earth. God has looked at the full manuscript of your life, and he has seen what the next chapters hold. He has seen the house, the cleared debt, the business that finally finds its footing, the provision that arrives at exactly the right moment, the door that opens so suddenly and so completely that you will have no explanation for it other than the favor of God. He has seen it, and he has smiled over it, because it brings him joy to bless his children. It is not reluctant generosity from heaven. It is the delight of a father who has been waiting for exactly the right moment to show you what he had prepared. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. You arrived here by divine appointment, and the Lord who arranged this appointment is the same Lord who is sitting on the throne of all things, with your name written on his heart and your blessing written in his books. No economic shift can erase what God has written. No enemy strategy can intercept what heaven has dispatched. No delay, however long it felt, has the power to cancel a promise that was spoken before time itself began. Right now, take a breath. Let this settle into the deepest part of who you are. You are not a forgotten soul wandering through a random life. You are a chosen vessel, marked for blessing, refined by fire, and now standing at the exact threshold where everything that was prepared for you begins to arrive. The hardship was real. The pain was real. But so is this. So is the promise. So is the God who made it and who never, not once, not even in your weakest moment, let go of you. If this message has been a source of strength to you, if these words have reached into a place in your spirit that needed to be touched, we want to ask something of you gently and sincerely. This ministry exists to carry messages like this one to people who need to hear that God has not forgotten them. Producing this content, making sure these words reach the ears and hearts of chosen ones all over the world, requires time, effort, and resources. If this video has brought value to your life and you feel led in your heart to help sustain this work, we have placed a support link in the description below. Every contribution is completely voluntary, and even the smallest act of generosity helps ensure that this message can reach someone else who is sitting in their own sleepless night, needing to hear exactly what you just heard today. But whether you are in a season where you can give or a season where you are still believing for your own breakthrough, we want you to know that we are genuinely grateful you are here. You being present, listening, and standing in agreement with this word matters deeply to us and to this ministry. You are not just a viewer. You are part of this community of chosen ones, and we do not take that lightly. And if this message has blessed you today, would you do something simple and powerful right now? Press the like button as an act of agreement that you receive what God is saying over your life. Share this video with someone you know who is in a hard season and needs to hear that their breakthrough is coming. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now, because there are more messages being prepared, more words being released, more divine appointments being arranged, and we do not want you to miss a single one of them. This community is growing because God is gathering His chosen ones together, and you belong here. Type the words, "I receive it," in the comments right now. Let it be your declaration.
Happening.
Let it be the sound of your faith agreeing with what God has already done on your behalf. The blessing has your name on it. The harvest is coming. And you, beloved, have survived every hard night precisely because you were always meant to see this morning. You need to understand something about the enemy that most people are never told directly enough to change the way they see their own story. The intensity of the battle you have faced over your finances was never random. It was never the result of bad luck or poor timing or a universe that was indifferent to your suffering. The warfare that has surrounded your financial life, the blocks, the setbacks, the near misses, the opportunities that dissolved just before they could solidify, the relationships that promised to open doors and then closed before we could walk through them. None of it was coincidental. Every single attack was targeted. Every single obstacle was placed with precision. And the reason the enemy fought so hard to keep you in lack, to keep you in scarcity, to keep you circling the same financial mountain year after year, is because he knew exactly what was waiting for you on the other side of the breakthrough he was trying to prevent. The enemy does not waste his resources on people who pose no threat. He does not organize campaigns against lives that carry no destiny. He does not deploy confusion, delay, discouragement, and financial warfare against someone whose potential does not frighten him. If your battles have been intense, if the financial pressure you have endured has felt disproportionate to anything you could logically explain, that disproportion is itself a revelation. It is telling you something about yourself that the enemy has always known and that God has been waiting for you to discover. You are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Your obedience is a threat. Your faith is a weapon. Your willingness to keep trusting God in the middle of financial drought is the very thing the enemy has been trying to extinguish, because he understands that a chosen one who breaks through into financial freedom does not just change their own life. They become a conduit through which God changes the lives of everyone connected to them. Think about what happens when a dam breaks. Think about the force of water that has been held back, pressurized, constrained, built up behind a wall of resistance for a long and grinding season. When that dam finally gives way, the release is not gentle. It is not a trickle. It is a torrent, a rushing, unstoppable, overwhelming surge of everything that was being held. That is what your financial breakthrough is going to look like. The enemy has been functioning as a dam in your life, holding back the flow of provision, the flow of opportunity, the flow of favor and open doors that were always meant to reach you. And heaven has now issued the decree that the dam is coming down. What comes through when it breaks will not resemble the slow drip you have been surviving on. It will be a flood of God's goodness, and it will carry with it everything that was delayed, everything that was detoured, everything that was stored up during the long season of your waiting. The Bible speaks in Joel chapter 2, verse 25, about God restoring the years that the locusts have eaten. That word was not written as a historical footnote for an ancient people group. That word was written for you, for this moment, for the season you are entering right now. The years of financial struggle, the years when it felt like something was consuming your progress faster than you could generate it. Those years are being accounted for in heaven's ledger. And the God who keeps perfect books, the God who wastes nothing and forgets nothing and loses nothing, is about to return to you what the enemy spent years trying to take from you permanently. The restoration is not partial. It is not a portion of what was lost. It is a full accounting with the interest of heaven applied, meaning what comes back to you will exceed what was taken from you in ways that will leave you speechless before God. Now consider the specific nature of what the enemy was protecting. Because here is the thing about spiritual warfare over finances that most people do not fully grasp. When the enemy fights to keep you in poverty, he is not merely trying to make your life uncomfortable. He is trying to neutralize your assignment. He understands that money, in the hands of a kingdom-minded chosen one, is not just a resource for personal comfort. It is fuel for purpose. It is the material expression of God's blessing that funds the work of heaven on the earth. Every dollar that flows through the hands of a faithful steward who understands their divine assignment becomes a weapon of kingdom advancement. It builds houses of worship. It feeds the hungry. It sends the gospel into places that have never heard it. It rescues children from danger. It funds the education of the next generation of kingdom leaders. The enemy was not just fighting your comfort. He was fighting your calling. He was fighting the people whose lives you are destined to touch when you step into the fullness of the financial blessing God has reserved for you. That is why the battle felt so personal, because it was personal. And that is why what God is doing right now in response to that battle is equally personal. He is not releasing a generic blessing in your general direction and hoping it finds you. He is releasing something that was crafted specifically for you, with your name, your history, your struggles, your faithfulness, and your assignment in mind. The God who numbers the hairs on your head is not imprecise about the way he blesses his children. Every detail of what is coming toward you has been considered. Every aspect of the overflow that is about to arrive in your life has been calibrated to fit perfectly into who you are and what you are called to do. There is something else about the intensity of your warfare that you need to sit with for a moment. The greater the calling, the earlier the attack. The more significant the assignment, the more fiercely the enemy works to shut it down before it can fully awaken. Think about the lives that have carried the greatest impact on the kingdom of God throughout history. Not a single one of them arrived at their destiny without walking through a valley first. Not one. The valley was not a detour away from the destiny. The valley was the road to it. And the financial valley you have been walking through has been the specific road that leads to the financial mountain God has been preparing you to stand on. Your struggles did not diminish you. They developed you. Every time you chose to trust God with your finances when trusting felt irrational, you were building a spiritual capacity to handle greater levels of blessing without being corrupted by them. Every time you gave when giving cost you something, you were proving to heaven that your hands could be trusted with more. Every time you refuse to compromise your integrity for financial gain. Every time you chose the narrow path when the wide path offered easier money. Through dishonest means, you were demonstrating the character that God requires in the vessels He trusts with kingdom wealth. And now, after all of that building, all of that proving, all of that refining through the fire of financial pressure, you are standing at the moment of release. The character is formed. The capacity is established. The faithfulness has been proven, and heaven is saying that the time for holding back has ended. The enemy spent years fighting to prevent this moment from coming, and yet here you are. You made it through every season he designed to break you. You survived every attack he sent to stop you. You held on through every night he whispered that morning would never come, and morning has come. It is here, you are in it right now, and the financial blessing that carries your name has been released from heaven with a momentum that no force on this earth or beneath it has the power to reverse. The ferocity of the battle that is behind you is the most accurate preview you have of the magnitude of the blessing that is in front of you. The harder the enemy fought, the greater the treasure he was guarding against you. And now that treasure, your treasure, the blessing that was always meant to have your name on it, is no longer being held at bay. It is moving. It is coming. And it is coming with the full force of everything that was held back during the long years of your waiting. You are not the person who almost made it. You are not the one who got close but was ultimately passed over. You are the chosen one, marked before birth, refined by fire, and now positioned to receive what heaven has been holding in reserve specifically for this moment of your life. The battle was real. The pain was real. But so is this. So is the God who fought for you when you were too tired to fight for yourself. And so is the blessing that is rushing towards you right now, carrying your name, carrying heaven's seal, and carrying the promise of a God who never loses and never lets his chosen ones go without the fullness of what he promised them before the world began. While the battle was raging around you, while the financial pressure was mounting, and the enemy was working overtime to convince you that you had been overlooked, something else was happening simultaneously in a realm your natural eyes could not see. God was watching, not passively, not from a distance, not with the detached observation of someone who sees a problem and chooses not to intervene. He was watching with the active, engaged, deeply personal attention of a father who is intimately acquainted with every detail of the life of his child. And what he saw in you during those hard seasons was not failure. What he saw was not someone unworthy of blessing. What he saw was gold. The world around you may have drawn very different conclusions. The people who measured your value by your bank balance, by the car you drove or did not drive, by the address on your mail or the brand on your clothing, they looked at your season of lack and made their assessments. Some of them grew distant. Some of them stopped calling. Some of them offered advice wrapped in condescension, as though your financial struggle was a character flaw rather than a chapter in a story. They did not have the spiritual eyes to read correctly. Some of them counted you out quietly, revised their expectations of you downward, and filed you away in a mental category reserved for people who would never quite make it. They could not see what God saw. They were reading the wrong page. God was reading the whole manuscript. He was not evaluating you based on a single difficult chapter. He was seeing the full arc of your story, the beginning he authored before you were born, the middle you are living through right now, and the ending he has already written in glory. And in every chapter, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones, he saw something that the world consistently overlooks in people like you. He saw faithfulness. He saw a heart that returned to him even after disappointment. He saw hands that gave even when they held very little. He saw knees that bent in prayer even when the ceiling seemed closed and the silence felt deafening. He saw a spirit that refused to be permanently broken by circumstances that would have destroyed someone who was not carrying what you carry. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 3 says that the refining pot is for silver and the furnace is for gold, but the Lord tests hearts. Do you understand what that means for your story? The furnace was not a sign of abandonment. It was a sign of value. You do not put something worthless into a furnace. You put something precious there, something that has the capacity to emerge on the other side more pure, more valuable, more ready to be used for its highest purpose than it was before it entered the heat. God put you through the fire, not because He was punishing you, but because He was preparing you. He was burning away everything that would have corrupted the blessing, everything that would have caused you to misuse the wealth, everything that would have made the abundance a stumbling block, rather than a platform for your purpose. And here is the thing about what God saw in you that the world missed entirely. The world sees potential through the lens of current performance. If your current circumstances do not reflect success, the world concludes that success is not coming for you. But God does not see the way the world sees. The prophet Samuel learned this lesson when he went to anoint the next king of Israel, and found himself drawn to the sons who looked the part, who stood tall and appeared impressive by every human measurement. And God said to him, in 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." God passed over every impressive-looking candidate and sent Samuel to the field, to the one who was out tending sheep while his brothers were being evaluated, to the one nobody had thought to include in the lineup, to the youngest son who was doing the unglamorous work in the background, while others positioned themselves for recognition. And that one, the overlooked one, the one whom circumstances had not yet elevated, the one the world had not yet noticed, that one became king. You are that one. You are the one that God has been looking at while the world was busy, evaluating everyone else. You are the one doing the faithful work in the background, the one trusting in the quiet, the one persisting without applause, the one whose heart has been seen and known by God, even when your circumstances have not yet reflected what He sees in you. And just as David went from the field to the throne, you are moving from your season of being overlooked to your season of being elevated in a way that will be impossible for anyone who counted you out to ignore or explain. A way God has been cataloging every moment of faithfulness. Every time you paid your tithe when it was a sacrifice rather than a surplus, it was recorded. Every time you showed generosity towards someone else, even while your own need was unmet, it was marked in heaven's books. Every time you prayed for the prosperity of others without bitterness about your own waiting, it was noted by the one who rewards in secret what is done in secret. Every time you chose integrity over compromise when compromise would have offered you a financial shortcut, heaven acknowledged the choice. You have been building an account in a ledger that operates on a completely different economy than the one the world calls normal, and the withdrawal you are about to make from that account will be unlike anything your natural mind has been able to fully envision. The blessing coming toward you has been assembled piece by piece in the secret place of heaven, constructed from the raw materials of your faithfulness, your sacrifice, your obedience, and your love for God in seasons when loving God cost you something real. It is not a small thing that is coming. It is not a modest improvement to your current situation. It is an overflow. It is an abundance. It is the kind of provision that silences every voice that ever doubted you and answers every prayer you prayed in the dark with a yes so visible and so undeniable that you will find yourself weeping not from pain, but from the sheer, overwhelming goodness of a God who never forgot, never misplaced, and never abandoned a single promise He made over your life. If the words being spoken over your life today are landing in your spirit in a way that feels like water on dry ground, we want to pause for just a moment and speak to you from the heart of this ministry. Every message we release, every word crafted to reach the chosen ones who need to hear that God has not forgotten them, requires real time, real dedication, and real resources to produce and to carry to the corners of the world where people are waiting to receive it. We do not take lightly the responsibility of this work. We understand that someone, somewhere, is in the middle of their hardest night, and a message like this one might be the very thing that keeps them holding on. If this video has been that for you today, and if you feel genuinely moved in your heart to help sustain this ministry so that messages like this one can continue to reach people who desperately need them, we have placed a support link in the description below. Every contribution is entirely voluntary, and it is received with deep gratitude and prayer. There is no pressure, no obligation, and no lesser blessing attached to your name if giving is not where you are right now. We understand seasons, we understand waiting, and want you to know that whether you give or not, you are seen, you are valued, and we are genuinely grateful that you are here. Your presence in this community matters to us as much as any resource ever could. What God sees in you is not diminished by what the world has missed. The oversight of people does not equal the oversight of God. The silence of those who should have championed you does not mean heaven has been silent over your life. God has been speaking your name in rooms you have never entered, arranging connections you have not yet made, aligning circumstances that have not yet revealed themselves to your natural eye. The blessing coming toward you was not dependent on anyone else recognizing your value first. It was dependent only on God's word, and God's word does not return to Him empty. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass. What He has written in your story will be fulfilled. And what He has seen in you through every season of struggle will now be celebrated through every season of overflow that is about to begin. There is a moment in the Spirit when something shifts from the realm of promise into the realm of manifestation. It is the moment when what God has spoken moves from being a word you are holding in faith to being a reality you can see with your open eyes. That moment, for many of the chosen ones who are hearing this right now, is not somewhere far off in the distance. It is not a vague someday that exists beyond the horizon of your current circumstances. That moment is now. The supernatural transfer that heaven has been orchestrating on your behalf has been activated, and the movement of financial blessing from the place where it was being held into the physical reality of your everyday life has already begun. Understand what the word activated means in the context of what God is doing. It does not mean that God is only now becoming aware of your need. He knew your need before you felt it. It does not mean that the blessing is only now being created. It was prepared before the foundations of the earth were laid. Activation means that the divine timing has aligned. It means that the combination of your readiness, your faithfulness, the fullness of the season, and the sovereign will of God has reached the point where heaven releases what it has been holding in reserve. Like a seed that has been underground through a long winter, unseen and appearing dormant to everyone who walks above the surface, the life inside it does not begin at the moment it breaks through soil. The life was always there. The activation is simply the moment when everything that was internal becomes visible to the world above. What God has been doing in your life has always been real. The promise was always real. The preparation was always real. The provision that was assigned to you was always real. What is happening now is that it is becoming visible. The underground work is pushing through the surface. The behind-the-scenes movement of heaven is stepping onto the stage of your natural life, and very soon, the people who could not see what God was doing in your story will not be able to deny what He has done. The Bible speaks of this kind of supernatural transfer in a way that should something loose inside of you right now. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18, God says that it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He swore to your fathers. The power to get wealth is not something you manufacture through strategy alone. It is not something that comes purely through hard work, though work has its place. The power to get wealth that the Scripture describes is a supernatural endowment, a divine enabling, a heaven-released capacity that causes favor to follow you into rooms, that causes the right people to notice you at the right time, that causes ideas to come to you with a clarity and a creativity that cannot be explained by your own natural intelligence alone. That power is being released over your life right now in a measure you have not previously walked in, and it is going to begin producing results in your financial life that will look from the outside like extraordinary luck, but that you will know from the inside is the sovereign hand of God establishing His covenant promise over your bloodline. Think about what a supernatural transfer actually looks like in practical terms. It looks like a phone call you were not expecting from someone you had almost stopped believing would ever reach out. It looks like an idea arriving in a quiet moment that becomes the foundation of something that generates income far beyond what your previous experience would have suggested was possible for you. It looks like a door opening in an industry or a space where you had no connections and no obvious reason to be given access, and yet the access arrives with such ease that you know something other than natural networking is at work. It looks like a debt being canceled, a settlement being reached, a check arriving, a contract being signed, a property being transferred, a business opportunity presenting itself with terms so favorable they can only be explained by the favor of God being actively present in the negotiation. The supernatural transfer does not always arrive in a single dramatic moment, though sometimes it does. Sometimes it arrives as a series of events, each one seemingly small, but when you step back and look at the pattern, you realize that something is moving on your behalf with a consistency and a momentum that could not be the result of coincidence. God is a God of patterns. He does not bless randomly. He moves with intention and with strategy, and the strategy He is employing on your behalf right now involves the alignment of multiple streams of provision flowing toward you simultaneously. Some of those streams have been moving for longer than you know. Some of the connections that are about to produce financial fruit in your life were planted years ago in a conversation you barely remembered having, in a relationship that seemed insignificant at the time, in a seed you sowed in faith without fully understanding where it would grow. God was working with those seeds while you were waiting. He was tending the connections while you were wondering if anything was happening. He was positioning the people, the opportunities, the resources, and the timing while you were in the wilderness of your waiting season. And now the harvest from all of that unseen work is converging on your life at once. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 19 Records God saying, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." That declaration was not a one-time event confined to the people who first heard it. It is a living word from a living God who is still in the business of making roads where there were no roads and rivers where there was only dry ground. The financial wilderness you have been navigating is about to be intersected by a road you did not build and did not earn through your own efforts. It is a road that God is laying down with His own hand, specifically for your feet, leading specifically toward the overflow He has prepared for this season of your life. And notice what God says in that verse. He says, "Shall you not know it?" He is asking you to be awake. He is asking you to be attentive. He is warning you gently, but clearly, that one of the dangers of a long waiting season is that we can become so accustomed to the wilderness that we stop looking for the road. We can become so familiar with scarcity that we stop recognizing provision when it begins to appear. We can be so conditioned by years of closed doors that we fail to notice when a door begins to open. God is saying to you right now, pay attention. The new thing is springing forth. The road is being laid. The river is beginning to flow. Do not be so locked into the experience of the desert that you miss the arrival of the water. This is why the sound you heard at the very beginning of this message matters so deeply. That click, that shift, that unlocking in the spirit, it was not theatrical. It was not symbolic decoration added to the opening of a message. It was a genuine spiritual announcement of something real that is taking place in the unseen realm on your behalf. Doors are opening. Streams are moving. The transfer that God authorized over your life is in motion, and the evidence of it is going to begin appearing in your physical world with an increasing frequency and an increasing magnitude that will build your faith to levels you have not yet reached. The enemy understood that if this transfer were to reach you, everything he had invested in keeping you in lack would be lost. All the years of financial warfare, all the strategic placement of obstacles, all the whispered lies about your unworthiness and your irrelevance would be answered in a single season of overflow so undeniable that even the enemy himself could not argue with what God had done. And so he fought. But God fought back, and God does not lose. The transfer was protected through every season of warfare. It was guarded through every attack. It survived every attempt to intercept it, redirect it, or destroy it. And now it is arriving, intact, complete, carrying everything that was assigned to it from the beginning, with your name still firmly attached and heaven's seal still unbroken upon it. You are not receiving a diminished version of the blessing because of the battles that were fought over it. You are receiving the full measure of what was always prepared for you, arriving now with the authority of a God who defended through every season of warfare and who is delivering it to you personally as a declaration to every force that opposed you that what God promises, God performs, and what God marks for His chosen ones, no power in heaven or earth or beneath the earth can permanently withhold. There is a difference between believing in a blessing and receiving one. It is a distinction that most people never fully examine, and yet it is the difference that determines whether provision God has released actually lands in your life or continues to circle overhead without ever touching down. You can believe in the existence of rain while standing inside with the windows closed. You can believe in the harvest while the seed remains in your hand, never planted. You can believe in the promise while unconsciously holding on to the very things that are preventing its arrival from being complete. God is not asking you simply to believe in what He has prepared for you. He is asking you to open your hands, your heart, your life, and your obedience to receive it. Receiving is an active posture. It is not passive waiting. It is not sitting in spiritual stillness and hoping that blessing descends automatically because you have acknowledged it in theory. Receiving requires alignment, and alignment requires that you examine honestly what is currently out of place in your life. What attitudes, what habits, what relationships, what fears, what unforgiveness, what areas of disobedience or delay are functioning as barriers between you and the fullness of what God has already released in your direction. Fear is one of the most common barriers between God's chosen ones and their financial breakthrough, and it operates in a way that is subtle enough to go undetected for years. It does not always announce itself as fear. Sometimes it disguises itself as practicality. It tells you that you are simply being realistic about your circumstances. It tells you that you have been disappointed before and that protecting yourself from further disappointment is wisdom rather than faithlessness. It tells you that dreaming smaller is safer than believing for something so large that could break you if it did not come to pass. But God has not given you a spirit of fear. Second, Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 declares that what God has placed inside you is a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. The fear that has been speaking in your financial life is not from God. It is an intruder, and it must be evicted from the place it has been occupying before the fullness of your blessing can move in to take its rightful place. Unforgiveness is another barrier that functions like a spiritual dam. When you carry bitterness toward the people who contributed to your financial hardship, the people who cheated you, who took from you, who closed doors in your face, who benefited from your sacrifice without honoring what you gave, that bitterness creates a blockage in the very channels through which God's provision is meant to flow. This is not a comfortable truth, but it is a necessary one. Jesus said in Mark chapter 11 verse 25, that when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive you your trespasses. Forgiveness in this context is not a feeling. It is a decision. It is a release. It is the act of opening your hand and letting go of what happened, so that your open hand can receive what is coming. You do not forgive for the sake of the person who wronged you. You forgive for the sake of your own open hand. There is also the matter of obedience in areas where God has been asking you to step forward and you have been hesitating. Perhaps He has been calling you to give in a specific way and you have been holding back because the numbers do not seem to make sense. Perhaps He has been directing you toward a decision, a step of faith, a change of direction, a release of something you have been clinging to, and you have been negotiating with Him instead of simply saying yes. Delayed obedience is a form of partial obedience, and partial obedience produces partial results. God is not looking for perfect people to pour His blessings through. He is looking for yielded ones. He is looking for the chosen ones who are willing to say, even when I do not fully understand, even when the step feels too large for my current level of comfort, I trust you enough to move when you say move, and to release what you say release, and to go where you say go. The courage to receive is not a small thing. It requires you to believe that you are worthy of the blessing. And for many of the chosen ones hearing this right now, worthiness is the deepest wound. Years of struggle, years of rejection, years of watching others be elevated while you remained in the same place can quietly teach your spirit to believe that perhaps the overflow is for someone more deserving, more polished, more spiritually advanced. But worthiness in the kingdom of God is not based on performance. It is based on the blood of Jesus Christ, which has already declared you accepted, already declared you beloved, already declared you a joint heir with Christ of everything that belongs to the Father. You do not earn your way into the blessing. You receive your way into it by grace through faith as a child of God who has been adopted into the greatest family the universe has ever known. So right now, in this moment, we are asking you to do something intentional. We are asking you to open your hands, physically if you are in a place where you can do that, and say aloud, I receive. I receive the financial blessing that carries my name. I receive the overflow that God has prepared for this season of my life. I receive the open doors, the divine connections, the unexpected provision, and the supernatural favor that heaven has released on my behalf. I receive it not because I have earned it, but because God promised it, and God's promises are yes and amen in Christ Jesus. That declaration matters. Your mouth is a prophetic instrument, and the words you speak over your own life carry authority in the spiritual realm that most people have never been taught to fully use. When you declare what God has said, you are not informing God of something He did not know. You are aligning yourself with what He has already spoken, and that alignment creates the conditions through which heaven moves on the earth. Speak it, receive it, and then watch for the evidence of it to begin appearing in your life with an increasing frequency that will take your breath away. This ministry exists because there are chosen ones all over the world who are sitting in their hard seasons, carrying their financial burdens in silence, wondering if God has forgotten them. Our deepest calling is to reach those people with the truth that God has not forgotten, that the blessing is real, and that the breakthrough is coming. If this message has found you today and has spoken to something deep inside your spirit, we want to ask you, gently and from a sincere place, to consider supporting the work that makes these messages possible. There is a link in the description below if you feel led to give. Every contribution, no matter the size, is an act of partnership in carrying this word to someone who needs it as desperately as you may have needed it today. It is completely voluntary, and we mean that genuinely. We understand that many of you are in the very season of breakthrough you are believing for, and we would never place a burden on a shoulder that is already carrying much. Give only if you feel the genuine leading of your heart to do so, and know that your presence here, your faith, and your willingness to receive this word is already a gift to this community. If this message has blessed you, press the like button right now as an act of agreement. Share it with someone you love who is in a hard financial season and needs to hear that God has not forgotten them. And if you are not yet subscribed, join this family today, because there are more words being prepared, more truths being released, more divine appointments being arranged through this channel, and you belong here for every single one of them. Type the words, "I open my hands" in the comments. Let it be your declaration of receiving. Let it be the sound of your alignment with everything heaven has released over your life. You have not been imagining it. The stirring in your spirit that brought you to this message, the restlessness that has been growing in you over recent days and weeks, the sense that something is about to change, the feeling that you are standing on the edge of something you cannot yet fully name but can almost taste. That is not wishful thinking. That is not the product of a mind desperate for relief constructing false hope out of thin air. What you have been sensing is real, and it has a source that is far more reliable than your own emotions or your own desire for things to be better. What you have been sensing is the movement of God, and the signs that have been accumulating around your life are not coincidences. They are confirmations. God does not move in silence without leaving evidence. When He is about to do something significant in the life of one of His chosen ones, He sends signals ahead of the manifestation. He arranges circumstances in ways that catch the attention of a spiritually awake person. He brings certain scriptures alive in a new way. He causes certain messages to find you at moments when you need them most. He places a specific kind of restlessness in your spirit, a holy dissatisfaction with where things are that functions as a divine prompt telling you that you are not meant to stay in the current season and that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. Every one of those signals has been speaking to you, and this message is one of them. Think about the sequence of events that led you to this moment. Think about the specific timing of when this word found you. Think about what you were doing, what you were feeling, what you had been praying about in the days leading up to this. Was there a conversation that took an unexpected turn? Was there a moment of desperation that drove you to your knees in a way that was more raw and more honest than your usual prayers? Was there a scripture that seemed to jump off the page at you with a clarity it had never carried before? Was there a dream, a sense, a whisper in your spirit that something was shifting? All of it was intentional. None of it was random. God was laying a trail of confirmation, leading directly to this moment of deliberation over your life. The scripture that speaks most clearly to this is found in Amos chapter 3, verse 7, where God declares that surely he does nothing unless he reveals his secret to his servants, the prophets. God is not in the habit of moving without announcement. Before he acts, he speaks. He sends the word ahead of the work. He releases the declaration before the demonstration. And the fact that you have been receiving these signals, the restlessness, the scriptures, the messages, the stirring, means that God has already spoken over the next chapter of your life before it has fully arrived. You are receiving the announcement before the arrival, the declaration before the demonstration. The word before the work becomes visible to your natural eyes. This is the pattern of God throughout Scripture, and it is the pattern he is following in your life right now. He told Abraham about the promised land before Abraham had taken a single step toward it. He told Joseph about his elevation through a dream before the process that would lead to that elevation had even begun. He told Mary about the child she would carry before a single biological sign confirmed what was coming. God announces before he manifests, and the announcement that is being released over your life through this message is not the culmination of what God is doing. It is the introduction. It is the declaration that precedes the demonstration. The manifestation is on its way, and the signs you have already been receiving are heaven's way of preparing you to recognize it when it arrives, rather than being caught off guard or being so blinded by your current circumstances that you miss the moment when it begins to break through. There is something specific you need to understand about the signs in your life right now. They are not all dramatic. Some of the most significant confirmations God sends are the quiet ones, the ones that only mean something to you because of the specific context of your life and your journey with him. A stranger says something to you in passing that echoes the exact prayer you prayed in private. A song comes on at a moment when its lyrics describe your situation with a precision that makes you catch your breath. You open your bubble without a specific intention and land on a verse that speaks so directly to your circumstances that you feel seen in a way that cannot be explained by accident. A number sequence appears to you repeatedly in a way that catches your attention. These are not superstition. These are the fingerprints of a God who is personal enough, attentive enough, and creative enough to speak to his children in the specific language that will resonate most deeply with who they are. And beyond the quiet signs, there are the larger movements. The unexpected phone call that came out of nowhere. The opportunity that presented itself in a space where you had no logical reason to be considered. The financial relief that arrived at the precise moment when you had reached the end of your own resources and had nowhere else to turn. The relationship that has recently come into your life, carrying a quality of connection and a potential for open doors that you had not seen in previous seasons. These are not luck. They are not the universe rewarding positive thinking. They are the hand of God, moving pieces on the board of your life with the deliberate strategy of someone who has already seen the end of the game and knows exactly how it concludes in your favor. The enemy has tried to use the length of your waiting season to discredit these signs. He has whispered that you have seen signs before and the breakthrough did not come, that you have felt this kind of hope before and it dissolved into disappointment, that reading too much into circumstances is the foolishness of a desperate heart rather than the discernment of a spiritually awake one. But the enemy is a liar, and one of his favorite lies is the lie of the pattern that generalizes past disappointment into permanent expectation of failure. Yes, there have been seasons when the signs seem to point to a breakthrough that then did not arrive in the form you expected or in the timing you anticipated. But God's delays are never God's denials. Every season of near breakthrough was still moving you forward. Every moment of almost was still developing something in you that needed to be developed. And the signs you are reading now are not the same as the signs of previous seasons, because you are not the same person you were in those seasons. The preparation is complete in ways it was not complete before. The character is formed in ways it was not formed before. The capacity has been built to a level it had not yet reached when you were in those earlier seasons of anticipation. There is a difference between a sign that says something is coming someday and a sign that says something is arriving now. The accumulation of confirmations in your life in this season has a different quality to it than what you experienced before. There is a convergence happening, multiple streams of confirmation flowing together from multiple directions at the same time. And convergence is the language heaven speaks when it is announcing imminent manifestation rather than distant promise. When God is about to move in your life in a significant way, the signs do not arrive as isolated incidents. They arrive in clusters, in patterns, in a frequency and an intensity that builds on itself until your spirit simply cannot deny that something is happening. That convergence is what you are in the middle of right now. This message is part of it. The restlessness you have been feeling is part of it. The prayers that have been feeling more urgent lately are part of it. The dreams, the scriptures, the unexpected encounters, the quiet whispers in the spirit, all of it is converging on this moment and on the season that immediately follows it. God is not whispering anymore. He is declaring. He is saying over your life, with the full authority of heaven, behind his voice, that the season of signs is giving way to the season of substance. The confirmation is stepping aside to make room for the manifestation. And what is about to manifest in your financial life will be so clearly the hand of God, so obviously the fulfillment of what he has been announcing through every sign and every stirring and every sleepless night of prayer, that you will not be able to contain the praise that rises in your spirit when you see it with your own eyes. You are not misreading the signs. You are not manufacturing hope from thin air. You are a chosen one standing at the precise intersection of divine promise and divine timing, and everything that heaven has been pointing toward in your life is about to arrive. There is a weapon that most people carry without fully understanding how powerful it is. It is not made of steel. It is not forged in a factory. It cannot be purchased with money or inherited through bloodline or borrowed from someone who has more of it than you do. It lives inside you. It has lived inside you since the day God breathed life in and called you by name. And in this season, in this specific moment of divine activation over your finances, this weapon is the single most important instrument available to you. It is your mouth. It is your voice. It is the prophetic declaration that rises from the depths of a spirit that has been refined by fire and is now ready to speak the language of heaven over the earth-level circumstances of your life. Words are not neutral. They never have been, not since the very first chapter of Genesis, where God Himself demonstrated for all of eternity how reality is created. He did not think the world into existence. He did not will it silently into being. He spoke, and light appeared. He spoke again, and the waters separated. He spoke, and dry land emerged, and vegetation grew, and the sun and moon took their places in the sky, and living creatures filled the earth. And finally, a human being made in His very image stood breathing on the ground that had been spoken into existence. The first thing you need to understand about your declaration is that you were made in the image of a speaking God, which means that your words carry creative power in a way that far exceeds what the world has taught you to believe. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. That verse is not hyperbole. It is not poetic exaggeration designed to inspire you toward positive thinking. It is a spiritual law, as real and as consistent as the law of gravity, operating in your life whether you are conscious of it or not. Every word you have spoken over your financial situation has been creating something. Every time you declared that you would never get ahead, that money always runs out before the month ends, that people like you do not get the kind of breaks that others seem to receive. Those words were not merely expressions of frustration. They were declarations, and the spiritual realm responds to declarations. This is the moment to change what your mouth is releasing into the atmosphere of your life. Not because words are magic, not because positive confession is a formula that forces God's hand, but because aligning your words with what God has already spoken over your life is an act of faith, and faith is the currency of heaven. When you speak what God speaks, you are not telling Him something He does not know. You are positioning yourself in agreement with what He has already declared, and that agreement opens the channel through which His provision flows into your physical reality. So what has God spoken over your finances? He has spoken abundance. He has spoken overflow. He has spoken that you will lend and not borrow, that you will be the head and not the tail, that you will be above and not beneath. He has spoken that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. He has spoken that He knows the plans He has for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. He has spoken that He is able to do exceedingly abundantly, above all that you can ask or think, according to the power that works in you. These are not suggestions. They are not conditional upon the economy or the political climate, or the circumstances of your birth or the mistakes of your past. They are the declared word of the living God over your life, and they are waiting for your voice to agree with them so that the agreement can become the atmosphere that your breakthrough is released into. Begin declaring over your life every single day. Declare in the morning before the world makes its demands on your attention. Declare in the evening when the weight of the day presses down on you. Declare in the middle of the night when the anxiety rises and the numbers feel impossible, and the silence feels like the answer to a prayer you are afraid was never heard. Declare when it feels natural, and declare when it feels like the most ridiculous thing you have ever done. Because faith is not about feeling. Faith is about choosing to align with what God has said in the face of what your current circumstances are showing you. Declare that you are the chosen one of God, marked for financial blessing and positioned for overflow. Declare that every door that was closed against you is now being opened by the hand of God. Declare that every resource that was withheld is now being released. Declare that the right people are being drawn into your path. Declare that divine ideas, creative solutions, and supernatural strategies are being released into your mind. Declare that your hands are blessed, that the work of your hands prospers, that what you touch is anointed with the favor of God. Declare that generational poverty ends with you and that generational wealth begins with you. Speak it, release it. Let it go from your mouth into the spiritual atmosphere of your life and watch what begins to shift. Right now, we want to invite you to do something that will serve as your personal declaration of agreement with everything God has spoken over your financial life in this season. In the comments below, type the words, "I am ready." Just those 3 words. Let it be your declaration before heaven and before this community of chosen ones that you have received this word, that you have aligned yourself with what God has spoken, and that you are stepping forward in faith into the financial season that He has prepared for you. 3 words, I am ready. Type them now and let your declaration go up as an act of prophetic agreement. This ministry has poured everything into this message because we believe with everything in us that someone hearing it today is at a turning point. Someone who has been on the edge of giving up is about to hold on long enough to see the breakthrough. Someone who has been questioning whether God still sees them is about to receive confirmation that He never looked away. If that person is you, then this message was worth every moment that went into creating it. And if you feel grateful for what you have received today, if something in your spirit was fed by these words, and you want to be a part of carrying this same nourishment to others who are hungry for it, there is a way to do that. The support link in our description makes it possible for you to partner with this ministry in reaching more chosen ones around the world. It is never required. It is never an obligation. But it is a genuine invitation to join in the work of speaking life over people who need to hear it. Whatever you feel led to give is received with prayer and with deep gratitude. If this message has touched you today, please press the like button right now as a simple act of agreement with what God is doing. Share this video with someone in your circle who is in a hard financial season and needs to hear that their breakthrough is not canceled. And if you are not yet part of this family, subscribe today because more words are coming, more declarations are being prepared, and you deserve to be present for every single one of them. This community is being gathered by God Himself, and your place in it was not an accident. Your mouth is the key. Your declaration is the unlock. And the God who created the universe with His own words has given you that same creative power in a measure appropriate to your calling. Use it. Speak life over your finances, your family, your future, and your purpose. And let the words that leave your lips today be the first sounds of the new financial season that is even now beginning to dawn over your life. You need to sit with this truth for a moment, because it has the power to completely reframe everything you thought you understood about the financial blessing that is coming into your life. The abundance that God is releasing over you in this season is not designed to stop at your front door. It is not meant to begin and end with your personal comfort. It is not a reward for endurance that God is handing you, so that you can finally exhale and spend the rest of your days in ease, disconnected from the larger story that He is writing on the earth. The financial blessing that carries your name has a purpose that extends far beyond your own household, and understanding that purpose is what separates those who receive prosperity and are ultimately diminished by it from those who receive it and are launched by it into the fullness of their kingdom assignment. God is not in the business of blessing people into retirement from purpose. He is in the business of blessing people into greater capacity for purpose. Every financial upgrade that heaven releases into the life of a chosen one is a kingdom investment, not a personal indulgence. The resources that are flowing toward you are flowing through you, and the direction in which they flow when they leave your hands will determine the full scope of the impact your life is designed to have on the world around you. You were not chosen to simply have more. You were chosen to be more, to do more, to carry more, to give more, and to build more than any previous generation of your bloodline has ever been positioned to build. Think about Abraham, whom God called to bless. The promise given to Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, verse 2, was not simply that Abraham himself would be blessed. The full promise was, "I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing." The blessing was never the destination. The blessing was the vehicle. God blessed Abraham so that Abraham would become a conduit of blessing to nations, to generations, to a lineage that would ultimately carry the salvation of the entire world. The pattern established in Abraham is the pattern God is following in your life. He is blessing you so that you become. He is prospering you so that through your prosperity, others are reached, rescued, resourced, and restored. This is why the enemy fought so hard to keep you in lack. It was never just about your personal suffering. It was about the people whose lives you are destined to change when you step into the fullness of your financial calling. Every person you are meant to bless, every ministry you are meant to fund, every family you are meant to rescue from poverty, every young person you are meant to educate and launch into their own destiny, every community you are meant to transform through your investment and your influence. The enemy saw all of them when he looked at you, when he understood that stopping you meant stopping every person connected to your assignment. That is the scope of what was at stake in the battle over your finances. And that is the scope of what is now being unlocked as that battle turns in your favor. The Bible uses the phrase kingdom financier to describe a category of believer whose primary calling is to fund the work of God on the earth. These are the people who carry a supernatural ability to generate wealth, not as an end in itself, but as a resource for the advancement of God's purposes across the globe. They are the ones who write the checks that send missionaries into unreached nations. They are the ones who build the schools in communities where children have never had access to quality education. They are the ones who establish the clinics, fund the outreaches, support the artists and the creatives and the teachers, and the builders who are carrying kingdom vision, but who need financial backing to bring it to fruition. Kingdom financiers are not a special spiritual elite. They are ordinary people who have made an extraordinary decision to allow the wealth that flows through their hands to be directed by the purposes of God rather than purely by the preferences of their own comfort. You are being positioned as one of these. The financial blessing coming into your life is the beginning of a journey into that kind of stewardship, and the journey requires that you begin to see money differently than the world has taught you to see it. The world says money is power to be accumulated. The kingdom says money is a tool to be deployed. The world says wealth is a measure of personal success. The kingdom says wealth is a responsibility of stewardship. The world says hold on tightly to what you have. The kingdom says release generously from what you have been given and watch the supernatural multiplication that follows an open and obedient hand. This shift in perspective is not a diminishing of what you are receiving. It is an expansion of it. When you understand that the blessing on your life is connected to a purpose larger than yourself, you stop experiencing prosperity as a finish line and start experiencing it as a launching pad. You stop asking God for just enough and start asking Him for more than enough, not out of greed, but out of an understanding that more in your hands means more available for the purposes He has trusted you to advance. The prayer of Jabez in 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 10, where he asked God to bless him indeed and enlarge his territory, was not a selfish prayer. It was the prayer of someone who understood that greater territory meant greater capacity for greater impact. God honored that prayer, and He will honor yours. Begin to ask God with specificity about what this financial blessing is meant to accomplish beyond your own household. Ask Him what kingdom project is waiting for your funding. Ask Him whose life is waiting to be changed by your generosity. Ask Him what family in your community is waiting for the kind of intervention that requires someone with resources and the willingness to deploy them for a purpose beyond personal gain. Begin to think and pray like a kingdom financier, even before the fullness of the financial breakthrough has arrived in your physical circumstances. Because the mindset of a kingdom financier is part of what creates the container that the blessing will fill. God looks for people whose hearts are aligned with His purposes before He releases the level of resource that those purposes require. He does not pour kingdom wealth into a vessel that is shaped only by personal ambition. He pours it into a vessel that has been stretched by vision, shaped by purpose, and made large enough by a heart of genuine generosity to hold what He is about to release. The stretching you have experienced in your seasons of lack was not only refining your character, it was enlarging your capacity. It was making your vessel bigger so that what God pours in does not overflow the edges and spill onto the ground, but is contained, stewarded, multiplied, and released with the intentionality of someone who understands the weight and the wonder of being trusted by God with kingdom resources. Your life is about to become a testimony that reaches further than you can currently imagine. The story of what God does in your finances in this season will be told in rooms you have not yet entered, to people you have not yet met, who need the evidence of your breakthrough to sustain their own faith through their own hard seasons. You are not just receiving a blessing. You are becoming a living demonstration of the faithfulness of God, a walking proof that He does not forget His chosen ones, that He does not abandon His promises, and that the blessing He releases on a yielded and faithful heart has the power to change not just one life, but every life that one life touches. The overflow coming your way is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of the chapter where your story stops being just about you and starts becoming about everyone your life was always designed to reach. You have walked through 9 sections of this message, and if you have stayed this far, it is not because you had nothing else to do with your time. It is because something in your spirit recognized that these words were carrying something real, something that had your name written on it before you ever pressed play. You did not arrive at this final section by accident. You were held here by the hand of the same God who held you through every hard season, every financial valley, every sleepless night, every moment when giving up felt more logical than continuing. And now, standing at the threshold of everything this message has been building toward, the most important thing you can do is refuse to walk away from this moment without making a decision about what you are going to do with what you have received. You are standing at the most significant financial threshold of your life, not because a message on a screen declared it, but because the God of heaven and earth, the one who spoke galaxies into existence and who knows the number of hairs on your head, has been moving behind the scenes of your story with a precision and a love that defies human comprehension. Everything that has brought you to this moment, every trial, every tear, every act of faith that felt like it was going nowhere, every prayer that seemed to dissolve into silence, every seed sown in seasons of scarcity has been building toward this. You are not approaching your breakthrough, you are entering it. And the God who brought you to the entrance is the same God who will walk with you through every corridor of the abundance that lies ahead. Beloved chosen one, hear this clearly. You are unshakable, not because your circumstances have always been stable, not because your faith has never wavered, not because you have navigated every season with perfect spiritual composure. You are unshakable because the one who holds you does not shake. The God who chose you before the foundation of the world does not change his mind based on the length of your waiting or the depth of your struggle. His word over your life was settled in eternity, before time began, and it remains settled now, in this moment, regardless of what your bank account currently reflects, regardless of what the economy is doing, regardless of what the enemy has whispered in your most vulnerable moments. What God has declared over you stands. What he has written in your story will come to pass. What he has prepared for this season of your life is already in motion. And nothing that has ever come against you has had the power to permanently cancel what God permanently authorized. The financial blessing that carries your name is not a myth. It is not a spiritual metaphor designed to make you feel better about a difficult season without actually changing anything. It is a real and tangible movement of heaven's resources towards your life, guided by the hand of a God who is supremely precise in the way he operates, who does not make promises he does not keep, and who has been working on your behalf even in the seasons when you felt most alone. The overflow is real. The open doors are real. The supernatural connections, the divine ideas, the unexpected provision, the generational wealth that is being positioned to flow through your bloodline, all of it is real. And it is all moving toward you with a momentum that the enemy, for all his fury and all his strategy, has not been able to stop. What you do with this moment matters. The message you have received today is a seed, and like all seeds, it requires something from you. It requires that you do not simply let it pass through your ears and dissipate into the noise of your regular life. It requires that you plant it, that you water it with continued prayer, with daily declaration, with obedience in the areas where God has been calling you to step forward. It requires that you protect it from the voice of doubt, from the opinions of people who cannot see what God sees in you, from the temptation to return to the small thinking that the long season of lack may have cultivated in you without your full awareness. Guard what you have received today. Treat it as the divine appointment it was, and then move forward from this moment with the posture of someone who has received a word from heaven and has chosen to stand on it until the manifestation arrives in full. Declare every single day that you are the chosen one of God. Declare that the financial blessing with your name on it is in transit from heaven to earth. Declare that every door that needs to open for you is opening. Declare that every resource that has been withheld is being released. Declare that the wealth of the diligent is coming to you in rivers, not trickles. Declare that your children will not fight the battles you fought, because the breakthrough you are walking into in this season is laying a foundation of financial stability and spiritual inheritance that will outlast your own lifetime. Declare it in the morning. Declare it at noon. Declare it at night. Declare it on the days when everything looks exactly the same as it did before, because faith does not wait for visible confirmation before it speaks. Faith speaks, and then it watches the visible world catch up to what was declared in the invisible one. And as you step forward into your wealthy place, into the season of overflow and abundance and kingdom impact that God has been preparing for you through every hard chapter of your story, we want to speak to you one final time from the heart of this ministry, with a transparency that we believe you deserve. This channel, this ministry, this community of chosen ones that has been built message by message and heart by heart exists entirely because of a calling, not a business strategy, not a monetization plan, a calling. A genuine, burning, inescapable sense that there are people all over the world who are in their hardest seasons, who are sitting in financial pressure and spiritual exhaustion, who need to hear that God has not forgotten them, and that their breakthrough is real, and that they are not alone. We make these messages for those people. We make them for you. We want to be transparent with you about something. This channel has had its monetization disabled by YouTube, which means that these videos generate no advertising income. We are not telling you this to complain, and we are not telling you this to create pressure. We are telling you because we want you to understand that every message we release, every word we craft, every hour we pour into producing content that reaches your spirit and speaks truth over your life is done entirely out of love for this community and out of obedience to the calling God has placed on this ministry. We do it because we believe it matters. We do it because the messages find people at the exact moment they need them. And that is not something we are willing to stop doing, simply because the platform has removed a financial support structure. But the reality is that ministry has costs: time, tools, equipment, and the dedication required to produce content at the level this community deserves. All of it requires resource. And so we want to ask you, gently, sincerely, and without any pressure whatsoever, to consider becoming a supporter of this ministry if you feel led in your heart to do so. There is a donation link in the description below, and there is a pinned comment with all the details you need. Every contribution, no matter how small, is an act of partnership in carrying these messages to the next person who needs them as much as you needed this one today. You are not just giving to a channel. You are investing in the spiritual survival of someone you will never meet, who is sitting in their hardest night, and who needs to hear that God has not forgotten them. If you can give, give. If this is not your season to give financially, we understand completely, and we receive you with the same love and gratitude as we would receive the most generous gift. Your presence here, your faith, and your willingness to stand in agreement with what God is doing in this community is itself a form of generosity that we do not take for granted. If this message has blessed you today, please press the like button right now. It is a small action with a large impact because it tells the platform that this content matters and helps it reach more chosen ones who are waiting for a word like this one. Share this video with someone you love who is in a hard season. Do not keep this to yourself. Someone in your life right now is sitting in the exact place you were sitting when this message found you, and they need to hear what you just heard. Be the person who sends it to them. And if you are not yet subscribed, join this family today and turn on the notification bell, because more words are coming. More messages are being prepared, and every single one of them is being crafted with the same love and intentionality that went into this one. You are not the same person you were when this message began. Something has shifted in your spirit. Something has been activated, aligned, and set in motion. The chosen one who pressed play at the beginning of this message is stepping forward now into a new season, and the God who arranged this divine appointment is already walking ahead of you into everything that is coming next. Your name is on the blessing. The blessing has been released, and you, beloved, were always meant to receive it.